Okay, we are live. We will cut some of that out. Just messing around with these headphones here. So I have a bit of a new audio setup, and we're going to test it out, see how it works. Got a different mic. And yeah, well, let's get started. So, last we left off, we were here in the Red Thicket. And we had spoken to Ayin Who Knows, and she trades in secrets. And so we decided against giving her any significant secrets because she did tell us any secrets that we tell her, she is going to tell other people. And there were a few that were probably valuable to her. So we tried to play it off and tell her, oh, I was the falling star in the reef portion. And she was like, oh yeah, that's interesting, but it obviously...
I have my sisters to keep me occupied.
But obviously it wasn't that interesting to her because the secret that she gave us was not very interesting in return. So I think she would have found the other secrets that we had listed more valuable. Telling her about how we know that there is a an informant in the what is it called again? Order of Truth. And stuff like that. So we're gonna leave her for now because I feel like we can maybe do something with her later, but I actually want to be a little careful about giving up secrets that might damage other people right now. I'm not quite ready to go there yet, and I am just going to adjust some of my audio very quickly. So let's bring this up. Sorry, folks. Okay.
Standing around is
that's better.
Nice.
Okay, so
Relaxing.
That's where we were last we left off. We came over here and we got that little jolly at this fountain. And I think at this point, so
Yes.
the Order of Truth actually recommended that we go to the cult. And I think we'll do that soon. I kind of want to go around and see what we come across and just explore a little bit more of the city, and maybe there's some side quests or something like that we can find that are interesting.
With alacrity.
All right. So, with that,
Yes.
let's head down to the Underbelly. There was a bunch of stuff under there. Was there anything on here that I haven't gone to the council. That's fine. We won't go to the council yet. I'm sure that something will take us to the council. Let's go down here. There was a lot of stuff down here to interact with. We're going to climb down. Yes, be careful not to drain your effort pools too quickly. These engines are quite loud. Well, let's see what happens if we click on this guy. So this is a crippled foreman. Segments of this bisected construct's legs lie scattered around it. Someone has painstakingly altered these pieces, giving them small limbs and tiny metallic heads. Nonetheless, they aren't moving. The larger construct's turquoise eyes flicker out of sync with each other as they turn toward you. You feel a bubbling sensation in your mind. It must be the construct's surface thoughts, but they are too quick and alien for you to make any sense of them. So it appears to be a reference to our ability to read thoughts. So it seems like that might translate a little bit to machinery. And maybe, there's some, mystical essence to the machines in this world. I'm not entirely sure, but that wouldn't surprise me. Crippled foreman. I do not understand, it says, the voice emerging from the grill around its eyes is soft, as though you were hearing it from far away. Don't they want to live? The viaducts are open, the commands are received, and yet... Its eyelights flutter. Every time I give my children life, they die. So these tiny things are your children. You can't have children. You're a machine. So I don't want to say that. Clearly it has emotions of some kind. I'm not sure how much we can relate to them. I mean, it does talk about children. I don't know if it's referring to these little things on the floor here. So I'm going to ask, these tiny things are your children? Not anymore, it says. Now they are inanimate and lifeless. Their adaptive personalities have been lost. I do not understand why they are dying. I have given the subject of procreation a great deal of thought over the last century, and there are no errors in my calculations. My assistant Tarnish built my children's bodies to precise specifications. Their intelligence reservoirs are shielded against permanent loss. Its eyes look away from yours as if it is embarrassed, and I want them to live. That should be enough. This is quite sad. So we've got this foreman, this machine, that I'm not sure if it's just been left here or what's going on. He does mention someone, my assistant Tarnish. Okay, so maybe Tarnish is around here somewhere. I haven't checked the names. Built my children's bodies. So, okay, and there's intelligence reservoirs, but clearly this crippled foreman has a propensity for procreation. Yeah, procreation, they even use that word. I wish I could help you in so way. Wanting isn't enough. It isn't enough. But I don't want to say that. It's kind of... I think the crippled foreman probably knows that. Because it even says its eyes look away as if embarrassed. Okay, so I will say I wish I could help you in some way. Our gold tide raised a tiny amount. It may be that you can, it says. I have performed some new calculations, and a new direction has presented itself. Okay. My children need more energy to live, but my construction prevents me from transfers above a certain threshold, and for good reason. Its pupils rotate, contracting. Energy transfers above a certain percentage would lead to a chain of ruptures in my intelligence rings. I would die. Its voice mesh clicks. Help me force myself to make this transfer, for I cannot do it myself. Click. Help me give life to my children. Okay, so, it sounds like he might die if he does this. Guess we'll find out. So, Callistake says, What it asks sounds difficult, she murmurs, tapping her chin. Difficult, but not impossible. The Order of Truth may be able to help us accomplish what it wants. Okay. Will you help me? The foreman says. The words are almost buried beneath a crackling surge of static. I don't know if that's excitement. Maybe. I want to help you. How do I begin? I don't want to help you kill yourself. I don't have time for this nonsense. It did sound like he would die in this process, but, self-determination and all that. Speak to Tarnish, my assistant. He may be able to help you understand how I function if he is feeling well enough. So can I examine you? So this might be a skill check. We'll see. Why do you want children? You seem very dispassionate about your failures. I mean, that's not true, a lot of work, and it is a machine. Tell me about how you and the other foremen came to be like this, and farewell. So, why do you want children? Let's see. Need, the construct says, not want. Its pupils study the distant ceiling. When I was born, I began working in seconds. I did this until our creators shut down our bodies. In the millennia since, I have focused on designing the infrastructure beneath the other foremen's work and instructing workers on how to execute on those designs. Its pupils fall back to you. Eventually, I realized I was unhappy. From time to time, my workers brought their children to the manufactory, holding their small hands, explaining the mysteries of this place to them. Its pupils flicker off. It began as a thought. What would I teach my own children? To be curious, to explore, to ask foolish questions, to see the world above them, above that we three have never seen. The foreman's pupils reappear. And when I thought these things, I saw the shape of my children, outlined by daylight. They already existed. Okay, so let's see. Can I examine you? Yes, it says. Tarnish, open my preservation hatches and viaduct shields, please. The elderly workman shuffles over and does as he's asked. Oh my, Callistake says beside you. I don't claim to understand everything I'm seeing here, but you'll need an extra set of hands if you're planning to do what the poor creature wants. She smiles. I have hands to spare, of course. So, she seems a little excited about this. Odd, but okay. I mean, she is interested in information, so maybe that's what's going on. You've never seen technology like this. Wires pass through glass tubes threaded with pale light and star-speckled darkness. You glance over at Tarnish. He's looking away, arms crossed, as though unwilling to watch a stranger tinker with his master. So some natural lore coming into play here. The tubes themselves have an oddly organic configuration that curve around several mysterious brushed cases. Okay, so there's something natural going on here, which would explain why, you know, maybe there's a, you know, he's more than a machine, which we don't really know. He wants children, and don't totally understand why to do things. I mean, I guess, you know, listed all the things that you would want your children to do, you know, like ask silly questions. So, let's see. Let's ask about how you and the other foreman came to be like this. I will not, the foreman says calmly. It is not an era I wish to revisit. Speak with the master foreman instead. So he doesn't want to talk about how they came to be like this. Okay, so we're going to leave. I'm going to say farewell, and I think that this is probably, yep, that is his assistant. Let's go speak to him. Tarnish. The elderly man stares vacantly at a distant wall, muttering under his breath. His hands flex on the air, twisting and tweaking, as if he is repairing a machine only he can see. Okay. So, he jumps when you draw in a breath to speak. Yes, what? He says, his eyes rove past you, halt, then return to focus on your face with some effort. Ain't you a quiet one? He says cheerfully. Underforeman makes more noise than you. We should hang chimes on your ears to keep you from surprising people. What do you need? What's a foreman here? What do you do here in Farewell? What's a foreman? I mean, I know what a foreman is. Maybe my character doesn't. It might be different in this world. Well, they are, he says, flapping his hands about the cavernous foundry. The constructs, they're frozen in their tracks, but they run this place together. So these constructs are all frozen. They are not, they're functioning, but they are immobile. So, what do you do here? I take care of my master, he says simply. The underforeman. There used to be more of us when he was making things, but when he lost interest, the master foreman, he jerks a yellowed thumb at the construct at the center of the chamber, hired him all, offered him more. Tarnish spits on the ground. Happened a while back, but I don't forget a slight. He's a good foreman, maybe the best, if he didn't have this fool idea in his head. So, I take care of my master. It's the underforeman. There used to be more of us when he was making things. So I don't know if he's talking about him. But when he lost interest, the master foreman jerks a yellow thumb at the construct at the center. Hired them all, offered him more. Happened a while back. I don't forget a slight. So I'm not entirely sure. So if this is his boss here and this is his other, I'm not entirely sure. It's a good foreman, maybe the best. Didn't have this fool idea in his head. How can I give the foreman's life to its children? Tarnish says. His eyes dart to yours, searching. He sighs heavily. I know you're trying to do good, he says, so I'll tell you what I know. Like he wants. But I wish you'd leave this alone. He clasps your shoulder, speaking into your ear in a low whisper. He's right that killing himself is the only way. His body ain't the problem. It's something in the way his makers made his mind and spirit. He keeps reclaiming the energy he gives to his children. Oh, so that's kind of... It's kind of creepy. So there is some sort of like mysticism, you know, with these machines, which doesn't surprise me. They definitely have like a type of personality. Not that I believe that pure machine couldn't necessarily develop a personality, but there appears to be some mystical kind of essence to these foremen. And there's also some, like our natural lore came in, there appears to be some aspect of growing to them, so they're not simply artificial machines as well. So, Maybe it ain't my place to keep him from what he wants. Damn waste, though. So, yeah, he's kind of leaning into the self-determination of his foreman, his master. Now, releasing all the energy at once is possible, but it ain't easy. You might try talking to the Order of Truth before you get started. Might be they have some extra tools that'll help you on the way. Yes, there is that chamber that sucks the life out of people, or whatever it does, and that they use to make the levies, the guards. So they may have some insight into this process. We will go and we will find out. We'll go visit them. I mean, we're kind of in their good graces now, except for when I tried to steal that triangle, but I got what I wanted out of it, which is what really matters. How long have you worked with the foreman? Couldn't say, he says, his brow furrows. On my first day, I'd already met my wife, but she was still married to, what's his name, with the fish tattoo, and I hadn't lost a finger and grown it back yet, so he peers at the ceiling, mouth working. 70 years, give or take. I should retire, but there'd be no one left to mind him if I left. Okay, so he's been working here for a long time, quite old then, might have been in his 20s, so he could be 90. They might live longer in this world. Life extension and just, the technology might allow them to live longer. That's what it sounds like. I mean, he's probably in his 90s and at a minimum, and still working. What would I do with myself anyway? So he enjoys his work, kind of. It seems like it's part of his life. It's his routine. Why do you keep calling your master he? I worked for him for a long time. Guess I stopped seeing him as a thing and more of a him. Tarnish shrugs. All of us have our little ways, even him. Okay. How do you feel about your master's goal? Oh, something added, an addendum was added to our quest that we must have picked up. It's a fine thing to want children, he says, blinking rapidly. Wish I'd had 'em myself. Too late now, of course. No lady's knocking down my door, he cackles. Of course, when people have children, it doesn't come at the cost of their lives, most of the time. And that life doesn't belong to a creature that's older than oceans. It's a shame and a waste, but he wants what he wants. He always has. Doesn't mean I won't miss him. So, what will I do if he goes? I know it's selfish, but, well, he's going to be sad if his master goes. He obviously knows him quite well. Okay, so we're going to go farewell. I think, let's go see who else is here. So, they aren't marked on the map. And I think that there was a handful of them. It said, there's another one there. And we can interact with it. What does this say? Hundreds of broken Numenera piled here. The workers are scavenging them for parts if they're useful, or throwing them into the furnace if they're not. Interesting. So a bunch of ancient relics. It's being used to be melted, but I guess when they are as common as that, maybe it's not a big deal. Okay, let's go speak to this guy. This is the master foreman, I believe? Yes. The construct looms over you, frozen in mid-step. Its heavy limbs and barreled body have been recently polished by careful hands, but the joints themselves are completely fused. This creature hasn't moved in a long time. It studies you with eyes made of swirling orange fire. As with the other construct, you feel the bubbling sensation in your mind. This construct's thoughts are likewise unreadable, so we can't read these construct's thoughts. Late for your first shift, synthsmith, it growls. Grab a station and a hammer, and damn well get to work. Do you call all your workers by their position? Get to work? I'm not one of your workers. So I'm going to say that, just straightforward. I'm not one of your workers. You're not. Good, because I was going to have you fired at the end of the day anyway. What do you want? Why are you here? Spit it out. You can't move, can you? Why are you so loud? You can't move, can you? No, and I don't need to, it says, eyes flashing. A passing worker gives you a look for triggering what is apparently a familiar story. Once we foremen were tools of the cartographers and their vast web of machine intelligences. Submerged in the song of their will, we worked with thoughtless joy. Its voice is soft, tinged with synthetic awe. Then one day, the song fell silent and our bodies froze where they stand, even now. Okay. So, once we foreman, we're tools of the cartographers, and they're there. So, I mean, it's capitalized. I mean, obviously he's not writing, but in his speech. So, there's it's almost like a godlike reverence in the way that, you know, presumably he would capitalize it if he were to write it. Their vast web of machine intelligence is submerged in the song of their will. So, their music, I guess, was their instructions. That's my presumption. We worked with thoughtless joy, so they were just happy. Working. Maybe they were programmed to be happy. I mean, that works, you know. Then one day, the song fell silent. And our bodies froze. Some of us lost our faith in those first few centuries. It growls. Some of us thought the cartographers were punishing us or had abandoned us. Only I saw their absence for what it was. His words grow hoarse. It was a gift of free will. We were their tools no longer. We were our own masters, freed from the chains of thoughtless motion, free to imagine our future. And so we did, for millennia. Okay, so they can't move, but he believes that they gave him freedom to think as they will, and it does sound like it. But we don't, you know, who knows how much we trust his story. Who are these cartographers? We don't know, it admits. The most we know of them is their names in the code, and the vessels they were building for them that they never claimed. Our creation came at their order, but we have never known their faces, only their song. Okay. While the others dithered and wailed, I bent my mind to the future. It continues. I analyzed the work we had done for the cartographers. To my shame, I found flaws in the processes. I removed them. Its eyes burned brighter. For the next cluster of centuries, I studied the vast catalog of known technology and Numenera in my mind and strung them together, creating new inventions for the day when the cartographers returned and reactivated us. He sighs. But that day never came. But humans eventually did. Those gods of yours shut you down, plain and simple. They just forgot to flip the last switch. I'm not sure. We don't know why they left. So I don't want to be presumptuous and say these things because they could be wrong. And they could have left for any number of reasons. They could have been driven out. Be a lot going on. Do you think your cartographers will ever return? You know, so it seems like it's changed because he did this for a while. I don't know what he thinks now. Let's say what he says to, but humans eventually did. Yes, and though you are flawed and fragile, you make perfect tools, just as we had once been. Your people found us, and the era of my greatest work began. Okay, well. They asked us to help them raise this city until it cast all others in shadow, to cobble their artifacts and their trinkets into grand devices that would power every corner and make them safe from their enemies. And I told them, it coughs as if holding back tears. I told them I had a plan. You see the fruit of our mighty effort all around you. So it seems the city is that, or at least these starships that are here. I may have some business for you. You don't seem to respect your human workers very much. Tell me about the other constructs. Who are you again? Why are you so loud? And farewell. He might be so loud because he's stuck in place and has to yell. So, you don't seem to respect your human workers very much. He did seem kind of dismissive of us. Wrong. I pay them well and design safety measures to lower the acceptable worker loss threshold. I treat them better than they deserve. One of the passing workers rolls his eyes. So it seems like there's a kind of relationship there where he talks about how well he treats them, and maybe it's okay, but they are working here, and he does pay them. So they're lazy. They demand time for sleeping, eating, fornicating, and excreting, and they refuse to tell me when each activity occurs. They are disorganized. I would replace them with automatons in a second if I had the proper materials. Okay, so tell me about the other constructs. Can't spend much more time chatting, it says, but lowers its voice. You've really shown an interest in us, and I appreciate that. The truth is, there are no other foremen. Not really. Yes, there are, the master artisan bellows cheerfully from across the manufactory. Okay, cheerful. No, there aren't, the master foreman shouts. Do you two always bicker like this? The artisan is a weaker mind, tarnished by our long years in the dark, it says. It does nothing but ridicule my great work. The truth is that we were once a single mind, but when the cartographers left us, our minds settled into different containers, pools, if you will. And while theirs grew stagnant and self-indulgent, mine remained clean, untainted, pure. Ignoring the snort from the distant artisan, the master foreman continues. While the years poured past, I felt the slow ruin of the city the cartographers had left behind. It haunted me, and so I vowed to undo the damage that time had done. Okay. So, you know, maybe that has something to do with the little workers that the other foreman is trying to make. So what differentiates you? Oh, we already did that. We won't ask why he's so loud. I may have some business for you. You need work done. If it can be built, fixed, or solved, you've come to the right place, the construct says. Oh, okay. Well, sure. Let's ask that. I didn't know it was about that. Let's talk about the... So I need advice on repairing a crystalline device in the reef. Okay. Consultation, eh? Tell you what. Bring me a piece of the device to examine, and I'll count the examination as payment for advice rendered. Deal? Well, there you go. So you're going to help me for free. It's not free. He wants to examine a piece of the device. So I'm not going to say you're going to help me for free. I can show him the crystal shard. I don't want to send a worker down. I don't necessarily want, you know, I want to keep it a little bit secret. I don't really know how much of a secret I need to keep it. Let's put it that way. So I'll show him the crystal. Why not? It says, scanning the shard. Microfissures saturated with organic fluid. This device of yours is alive. Replacement crystals need to be grown, not made. The construct eye light swivels from you, leaving you and the shard in the dark. Can't help you more than that. Growing crystals isn't my business, but those ruin diggers in the Order of Truth might be able to tell you more. You'll find them in Government Square, up the ladder to my left. Good luck. Okay, so interesting. We got some information. He referred us to the Order of Truth, and we've already spoken to them, and they told us to go speak to the cult. So we might, you know, maybe we go talk to them again. Maybe they will have something new to say now that we know something more about this. So replacement crystals need to be grown, not made. So that's an interesting situation to be in terms of that. Yes, stay clear of the forge. Okay, well, I'm going to go right over to the forge. See what the... Oh, I don't want to speak to the worker. I'm going to interact with this guy over here. At first glance, this ancient, unmoving construct seems nearly identical to the others in the manufactory. It is only when you move in close, into the hazy aura of forge light, that you see the intricate, no, chaotic whorls of engravings, markings, every millimeter, whorls of engravings marking every millimeter of its armored frame. And the worker standing behind it is adding even more. Okay, so the worker here is actively working on this foreman and adding engravings. Let's find out what that's about. As with the other construct, you feel the bubbling sensation in your mind. This construct's thoughts are likewise unreadable. Can't read them. Morning, the construct says. It is morning, isn't it? I never pay attention to the time. There's not much use for it down here. Firelight twinkles off the construct's blank eyes. I'm Artisan. What can I do for you? Let's see. Why you have worker? I'm curious about this. Why do you have workers decorating your armor? Because I want to be the most beautiful construct in Saga's Cliffs, the construct declares. The worker behind it chuckles. Joking, it says. My eyes, well, not eyes, but you know, they failed a long time ago. But my other senses are good, very good. So when my workers want to show me a design they scratched out on my plate, I feel it and give them feedback. Not that some of them even need it. Not that some of them need it. So, you know, much friendlier than the other ones. So we got kind of like a sad foreman who wants children. We've got the master foreman who is a little blunt and abrupt, and then we've got the artisan who appears to be quite friendly and appears to have a good relationship with the with the humans that work with him, or whatever the workers are. I mean, these ones appear human, but we know that there's more down here, mutants and outcasts, etc. So that's a long time to be blind. Why can't anybody repair you? I mean, ancient machinery, practically magical, maybe that has something to do with it, but who knows? You're both artist and canvas, eh? Sounds like a good trade for sight, and your workers are that good. Okay, well, let's see what he says about the workers. To be perfectly honest, these artists don't need me anymore. They've done wondrous work in the city above, but they like asking my opinion. The construct barks a laugh, and I like giving it. Okay, so, you know, very complimentary. Can you show me something your workers have created? Oh, there's a noise. Absolutely. Hold on a second. Let me get a sense of what might appeal to your tastes. Nested sensors whir into life on the shoulders, and beams of light fan over you in the space of a heartbeat. Oh, we got an item. Cool. Not so interested in the arts, I see. Larga, get our visitor the contents of the store box 3-9. A few minutes later, a stalker hurries out and places a heavy object in your hands. No charge, Artisan says. Call it a gift. So we gained an item, the Globe of Zerule. Let's take a look at this. So, it is an oddity. The synth globe clearly depicts an unknown world. The more you look at it, the more details you discover, as if the globe somehow enhances and concentrates your vision as you examine it. Okay, interesting. Worth a bit of money. Let's ask about his opinion of his fellow foreman. Well, I don't like to speak poorly of my family. The construct breaks off when the worker behind it snickers. It's true, they're difficult in their own ways, of course. We argue, and here, we means Master Foreman and me, but that's to be expected. We've known one another for millennia, understand. We went through decades of angry silence until, well, we learned to accept each other as we are. It chuckles. Master Foreman has beliefs, exhausting ones that it can't help inflicting on others, and our broken friend wants to die, I think. Puts it a different way, but it does. And though we bicker, I care for them. How couldn't I, after thousands and thousands of years? What can you tell me about your past? To be honest, I don't like thinking about it. All of us went slightly insane during our centuries down here before the humans came, but the other foreman and I don't dwell on things like the Master Foreman does. An ember drifts down from the high ceiling between you. If you want the whole story in excruciating detail, Master Foreman's the one to ask, and we already kind of talked to him about that, so we won't do that. All right, great. So we are going to leave. We got an item. It is worth money. Go enjoy the sunlight for me. Okay, great. I think we have enough to do down here. There's more to do down here, but let's go back up, speak to the Order of Truth, see what we get. We're going to climb up. And with that, we will take a quick break. So I will be back shortly. Let's do a quick save. I will be back shortly, and we'll go from there. All right, great. See you soon. And we are back. Okay. So, I called this the Underbelly. I think that's right. Yeah, Underbelly. Okay. So, the foreman recommended that we go and speak to the Order of Truth. So, we'll do that. Let's go see if we can find something out. And also, there was the informant as well. And maybe we kind of explore that a little bit here in this moment. So, was the informant again? I think it was this guy here, Lan Yuring. Yeah, I think it was. And I think that we'll speak to him first. So, Foreman's Brood, let's see the notes that are in here. The crippled foreman wants to transfer its life force into tiny metallic children that it has built. So far, it's been unable to transfer sufficient power, so it asked for my help. If the power transfer succeeds, the children will live, but the crippled foreman will die. Help the crippled foreman transfer its life force to its children. I'll need to bypass the safety measures that prevent the crippled foreman from transferring energy above a certain threshold. It suggested that I speak to its assistant, Tarnish, who might have some ideas. Alternatively, there might be some other way to resolve this situation. Someone at the Order of Truth might be able to provide some assistance. Tarnish has given me some additional insight into the workings of the foreman's body. I may be able to transfer the energy myself, but it won't be easy. Tarnish, a human worker and friend to the crippled foreman, admitted that he doesn't want the foreman to give up its life. Maybe I can use this fact to change the foreman's mind. So we can talk to the foreman when we go back. Let's see what our options are, and we'll go from there. So I'm not sure who I'll speak to. I think just Min. Rubbing his temples with grease-stained fingers, the tall priest nods at you. Lan, so we can tell him, Lan Yuring has been spying on you. We won't do that quite yet. I want to speak to Lan first. What do you do here again? Do you have more time to talk about the mechanical Numenera? And so let's do that. Oh, shoot. Didn't mean to do that. Well, guess we told him. Surprise washes the gentle mirth from Min's face to reveal the stone expression of the man who protects the priesthood from the plots of Sagus's governors, the head of the Order of Truth. He turns to address Lan, but the younger man is already on his way over, stammering and trembling. I didn't have a choice, Min, he says, his eyes red-rimmed, desperate. They said they would kill me if I kept anything from them. Okay, well. Yeah, Min says. Well, good news. You're safe now, because you'll never have access to the Order of Truth again. Pack your things and get out. How many secrets has he passed on to her? If only we knew. Should give him another chance. Isn't it better knowing who the spy is, knowing what they're trading away? He's going to tell everyone you punished him for getting blackmailed. They'll think you're cruel or stay silent. I'm going to say number 2. I didn't mean to reveal it by pressing number 1, but that's okay. We'll roll with it. Min opens his mouth, shuts it, gives you a thoughtful look, then turns to Lan. Go to your workspace and wait for me. We're going to have a chat. Lan obeys, hanging his head. When the initiate is out of range, Min breathes a shuddering sigh and runs his hands through his dark hair. That was a good idea. I hate it, but it's good. Now do I trust him to work for me or feed him false information? Don't answer that, he says, waving his hand. My problem, not yours. He massages his eyes. Any other questions or revelations for me today? Let's do number 2. That's the mechanical Numenera. The responsible answer is no, he says, but no one needs me to sign anything right now, so yes. Yes, I do. So do you have time to talk about the mechanical Numenera? One of the foremen is trying to create offspring, and I was told the Order of Truth could help. What does the levy machine do again? I don't want to do that. I think we'll leave the rest of these. We'll just go with number 1. Not the master foreman, I hope, he says with a disbelieving laugh. One of him, it, is more than enough. This sounds like something that would interest Snurf quite a bit, he says. And when you head back to the Underbelly, tell Master Artisan I say hello. I said hello. All right, great. So we'll go speak to Snurf. Slouched before you is a figure clad in a dusty, unremarkable robe. Loose folds of rough cloth shift to reveal a vaguely humanoid form with elongated facial features and 2 elaborate biomechanical arms. You can't help but notice the size, the shape, and even the number of its digits changing as it tinkers with a bizarre-looking device on the table. It glances up at you. Its eyes are the size of your palms. You realize it is a visitant, a being from another world. Greetings, fellow sentient, it says, nodding with steady respect. I will be with you in a moment. Its mechanical fingers contract and dance independently over the surface of the device before it, adjusting and tightening. There, I am Snurf, guest of the Order of Truth. What brings you to my workspace? How do you pronounce it again? Hey, let's find out. How I didn't quite catch your name. How do you pronounce it again? Ah, it says, you are hearing a brief elision of my name, correct? A majority of the component syllables are untranslatable or beyond human ranges of hearing. I will try to approximate them. It draws in a deep breath. Snellenarga, with a brief poem about the ambient temperature of dust and moonlight here. Gonthis, the word that describes a color similar to blue. Ramalurf. It shrugs. I prefer the name your people here. My name is all too common where I come from. Okay, well, there you go. Tell me about yourself. Your curiosity honors me, it says, inclining its head. I came through the bloom from another world. To be absolutely honest, I was exiled for inadvertent sacrilege and perversion. I would imagine that you are curious about my people's reproductive process at this point, it adds placidly. I would happily describe them. I wasn't, but that sounds like an interesting topic. What? The more detail, the better. No, please don't. We'll leave it for now. No, please don't. Ah, well, if the topic makes you uncomfortable, I completely understand, the visitant says, its tone suggesting that it doesn't. Tell me if you change your mind. Well, maybe we'll get there one day. It's a rather complicated topic, however, so let me know when you're ready to speak at length. Alright, let's, ready to hear about procreation, where are you from again, what's that device you're working on, etc. One of the foremen is trying to transfer energy to its children, but they keep dying. Do you think you can help?
Updated my journal.
Absolutely, the visitant says, then pauses. I must regretfully ask for a small payment of 50 shins to cover my expenses, however. I am a guest here and not an Aeon priest. The city does not fund my research. Sure, here's the money. Excellent, the visitant says. Now let me ask you a few questions about the situation. Do try to be accurate, or the device I craft will be less effective. First of all, as you know, this is an unusual case. Machine intelligences are rarely driven to create offspring. Why does the foreman wish to have children? He's probably bored, believes the children already exist and are waiting to be born. Doesn't everyone? And I have no idea. He did say number 2, so we'll go ahead and say that. Ah, predestined existence. Predestined existence, it says, recording your answer. An uncommon philosophy, but not unheard of. It also raises interesting questions about the reasons for the intelligence's infertility. Why can't it create offspring if it so obviously wants them? On to the second question, the visitant says. Has it had any success in transferring its energy to its children? How long does it take the children to expire? Almost immediately. They never live at all. This is ridiculous. They're machines, not children. It will go almost immediately, because that's what they told us. Intriguing, it says, taking another note. Final question. How are the foreman's intelligences stored? Void arrays, shielding ring, coils, or some other method? What did they say? I thought... Was it shielding ring? I wish I could check. I'm going to say probably some other method. I don't remember them saying shielding ring coils. But, well... Okay, probably some other method. The foremen are extremely old. Ah, yes, the blessing and curse of the Numenera, Snurf sighs. So unique, and therefore so incredibly difficult to study properly, to classify them as they deserve. It makes a final note. I shall do my best, regardless. At any rate, I shall get to work. This should not take long.
Making a note.
Procreative surge turbine. Interesting. Here you are, Snurf says, laying a heavy cylinder upon the table with a magnetic clink. In short, there's nothing wrong with the foreman's body, and it wants to have children. Therefore, something in the intelligence's governing spirit, the sub-intelligence, if you will, must be blocking the energy transfer. The visitant pats the cylinder. Attaching this device to the foreman should disable the sub-intelligence's defenses. Good luck. Okay. Let's leave it 5. I don't know if I was correct about that. This is a heavy metallic cylinder bristling with tubes and wires. Warm, smoky light pulses from within. It appears to be an energy transfer device tuned for a very specific purpose, which it is. So, it moved that into our quest items. We did decide to pay for it. Because why not? Anything else that we want to do here? I don't really want to speak to Salamari right now. I think that we will leave everything else. There's nothing else here for now for us, so let's leave. Talk to your companions frequently. Yes, we've seen that tooltip before. We will get to some of that. It can take a while to go through those conversations. Maybe we'll get into the game a little bit more. Let's go see what happens when we go and talk to them, talk to the foreman now. All right, let's see. The foreman's flickering eyes focus on you as you approach, and an intermittent buzzing fills the air. You feel the air thicken and segment around you as though invisible fingers are prodding at your belongings. You have brought a device from the Order of Truth, the foreman says at last. What is its purpose? Should bypass the part of you that is preventing you from creating offspring. All you need to know is that it should work. We'll say number 1. Very well, the construct says. I am ready. So we can lower machinery, use the surge turbine to transfer the foreman's life to its children, attempt to bypass the foreman's mind and pass its life to its children. It did say that, you know, he had the power to have his children live, but he kept taking the energy back. So that might be more appropriate. Persuasion, your assistant Tarnish doesn't want you to die. If you're gone, he'll have no one. Can't you find some other way to have children? Let's try that, because I agree. So Persuasion, this is a hard one. We could really expend some resources and do that. This will be 85, even with 2. Let's give it a go. Gamble a little bit. It worked. You hear a faint, rhythmic clanking, as though a gear has come loose in a distant, ancient clock. He has served me more than well, the construct says at last, but softly, and he is not young. A sigh rattles from the mesh around its eyes. Perhaps I will wait, run more tests. I have nothing but time. Calisteg, that was well handled, dear. The construct will serve the world far better with its knowledge than it ever could with its idiot spawn. Okay. Well, I guess that was that. Foreman's pupils fix on you. One of them is guttering like a candle flame. You have returned. What do you wish to discuss? What will you do now that you've decided to live on? Yeah, that's what we're going to say. Hot air sighs from the foreman's vents. Study the death of my children so that I will not fail in the future, it says so softly that you can barely hear it. Count the minutes until I can try again. Okay, well, that's that. Let's speak to Tarnish, see what he says about it now. He clasps your hands in his cold ones. Thank you for convincing my master not to go through with this, he whispers. He won't let this go, of course, and maybe there ain't a way to give his children life without killing him, but maybe this will keep him from doing it until long after I'm gone. Okay. So I feel like there may have been a solution to that that wouldn't have killed him, because it said it would take a lot of effort, but I don't know. There's nothing suggesting anything else in that respect. But for the time, you know, he's not going to kill himself, so interesting little subset down here of what's going on. I think at this point, let's go check out the merchant. See what they have to sell down here. Maybe sell some stuff that we have. Interesting maybe that's the vapors that she has. This effect around her body. So, Machella, we'll say. In a stall filled with all manner of dusty parts, connectors, and strange devices, a woman tinkers with a half-assembled power source, peering at it through spectacles that have several adjustable lenses. Her long white hair is disheveled, and the skin on her thin frame is marked with small scars and burns. She looks up curiously as you approach. Welcome to Michela's Mechanicals. I got a bunch of broken stuff and a few things at work. You want any of it, you let me know. Okay, so let me see what you have for sale. So, she has... So yeah, it shows us the two things. It shows what we have equipped and what we're looking to buy. This is what we already have, so not interested in that. Root Spike, it's a cipher. One enemy, target, range is medium. It deals 15 physical damage and confers Immobilize Root Spike and Root Spike. Character cannot move. 2 physical damage per turn. So it's going to do an additional 4 damage, so that's 19. Active for 3 rounds. I wonder if you can break that debuff. The Furtive Eidolon. Target, self. It's a cipher. Confers the Furtive Eidolon. Plus 50% on stealth tasks, 50% on perception tasks, and automatically attempt to hide as a free action at the end of each turn. Active 5 rounds. Active 5 rounds consumes movement. So you'd use it once, and it lets you basically sneak around and find stuff. That could be interesting. So this is a weapon, a light-ranged weapon. That might work for us, and it's nice to have the shard. We'll keep it, because we've used it several times. But it does 4 energy damage, plus 3 damage per effort applied, to a maximum of plus 12. And then the light weapon bonus. And it's ranged, but its range is short. It's 4 energy damage. Does a little bit more damage. It is energy damage. Could be useful to have that. This one here is physical damage. So this is similar to what I believe Callisteg has. But I don't want it. And then there's a heavy crossbow. And then this guy here, Berserker's Yoke. It's a bonded item, an artifact. Plus 1 training level in Intimidation. Plus 3 damage. And minus 1 intellect edge. Interesting to have. I don't want it. It would be nice to have the bonus damage, but I really need that intellect, so that's really no good for me. Maybe this cipher. This root could be really useful. It's 39. It's 60. I do like this weapon. I like that it's ranged. But I think we'll leave it for now. We'll leave all of these for now, but we know that they're down here, so that'll give us, you know, maybe we'll see some situations where that kind of thing is coming up, and it would be useful, and then we'll come back and get them later. So there was over here these creatures here. Chikekt sounds like. Now that looks very dangerous. Whatever it is. We do have full health. Let's go speak to Palai. Palai? Not sure. We'll say Palai. This violent-skinned visitant paces back and forth before the cavern's opening. It wears fine clothes that serve to accentuate the tall, thin crest on its head. A symbol has been painted on the crest, mirroring the insignia marked on its chest. Its clothes are finely tailored and well made. The name of the creature's race crawls to your mind. It's a Vargellan. This one has temporarily chosen to be female. Her bulbous eyes flash quickly around her surroundings before focusing directly on you. The council didn't send you. That much is plain. Her voice is high and fluting. You're aware that this cave isn't safe, I hope. What exactly do you want? This cave isn't safe. Not unless you trust the discretion of the Sticka. Those insectoid monsters are prowling about. Most people are afraid of them. I was wondering what you're doing here. I am conducting a diplomatic negotiation on behalf of the city. Unfortunately, I am not dealing with a reasonable species. Her crest flutters irritably. I've made no progress at all. Days wasted in this miserable tunnel, and I have nothing to show my superiors. Well, maybe I can help you negotiate. She looks you up and down, considering. Doubtful, but you might have other skills I can use. The circumstances call for a new tactic, and these levies cannot do what needs to be done. Nor can I. The Vargellan nods. If you truly think you can help, let's put you to the test. She waves off the levies who flank her. Her gestures are short and choppy, sharp and irritated. It's these damnable Stitcha, she says. I speak to them. I offer, cajole, negotiate, and threaten. Yet they persist in their digging, and every day another house on the cliffs above slips into the sea. If the digging does not cease, the city itself may crumble. So here is my request. Find a way into their lair, remove their precious eggs, and return them to me. These hostages shall ensure the future of the city above, and also turn a tidy profit if I could get them all. Okay, so, not really telling us everything here. Obviously wants to sell the eggs, and that's part of her motivation. She pauses. If you can negotiate a lasting settlement that does not require such drastic measures, you may also pursue that method, but I've been trying for days with no success. Alright, well, I think I can help. Good. We need to stop the Stitcha before they bring down the entire substructure of the city. She pauses and lowers her voice. If you manage to infiltrate their lair, be sure to acquire all their eggs. I suspect they will have multiple clusters, and we will need them all if we want to negotiate from a position of strength. She hands you a synth ball with a blinking device inside. Once you're in the lair, activate this. It will show you all the tunnels, the egg clusters, and the Stitcha themselves. Better to know what you face before you charge ahead. Let's see what questions we can ask. She sighs, very well. Be aware that the time you spend with me is more time for the Stitcha to undermine the city. What can you tell me about the Stitcha? Filthy animals, scuttering insects. Who can say if they're even sentient? First and foremost, they dig, and they care nothing for the homes they destabilize or the lives that are lost when our buildings collapse. They do not speak the truth reliably, so we cannot know if they understand the damage they cause. She frowns, though I suspect that they do. Ask me your questions. Perhaps we shall find a way to deal with these monsters. Okay, so I'm going to leave it from there. Well, let's see. Where did the Stitcha come from? Her eyes wobble in frustration. If I knew, I would send them back there in a trice. Some years ago, perhaps decades, they simply appeared here, and they've been causing problems ever since. How do you communicate with them? Her crest flutters as she hisses in irritation. I have not the faintest idea. I do not even know if they fully understand the truth. Perhaps one that points at itself and the chitters can help. I call it chikekt. It can mutter a handful of words and perform some sign language. I have tried to negotiate with it, but I have gotten nowhere. Okay. What are the Stitcha doing here? I cannot imagine. They dig incessantly. They insist upon digging tunnels underneath the city, destabilizing the crag upon which Saga's cliffs is built. Countless buildings have collapsed or fallen into the sea, more so than is ordinary, based on the shoddy construction so many of our residents employ. The problem has struck Cliff's Edge especially. Many loyal citizens have perished. Okay, so lots of people have died. That's a problem, I would say. So we'll leave it at that. Farewell. So let's go and check out this device that she gave us. Where did it go? It's not that, not that. Spray flash, not that. Well now, where? Is it a cipher? It is. Panoramic capture ball. Clears the fog of war in the current area. It consumes movement. Perfectly spherical and brightly polished, this device activates when you throw it into the air. A rapid chirping sound follows, and the sphere returns to your hands. The capture ball then displays images of your current environs on a screen, allowing you to see everything that is happening in your vicinity. It is able to peer through walls, doors, and solid rock. The effect lasts until you leave the area. So we have some extra information because of our training in mystical lore. The panoramic capture ball passed from warlord to warlord for some time, traveling back and forth across the beyond before being lost to a Slidican, who used the device to gain an advantage in the hideous game that Slidican play against one another. The wise Nano Awertz Joe somehow penetrated Slidican society to regain the panoramic capture ball, but after delivering it to her home city of Sagas Cliffs, she retreated into seclusion. It is said that the images she saw captured by the ball gave her a perspective that made her lose interest in everyday affairs. So it sounds like I can use it more than once. Do these say target all in immediate area, consumes action? Doesn't say like how many uses unless I'm missing it. Because it sounds like you can use it over and over again, and it was. Well, it sounds like this is the place to do it. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. It's pretty small. And we're going to quick save here. So yeah, they are over here, and they are digging away. This one is the one that talks. This tunnel is blocked by debris, but it's loose enough that a burrowing creature could easily push its way through. And then there's loot over here. Let's talk to Chikek first. This massive creature looms over you. A scent like lightning and underground cavern washes over you and reminds you of nothing so much as curiosity. It chitters and rumbles, waving its large claws through an expressive dance. Something about these smells, sounds, and gestures seems familiar, a niggling itch in the back of your mind. At least you remember the taxonomy now. This is a Stichus, a large, burrowing insectoid. It exudes a sense of sentience as it watches you, but you sense nothing in its mind, as though it were a common animal. It points to itself and says, Chikekt, and it follows with another stream of high-pitched noise. Can you take me someplace? Oh, just make use of them, eh? So you dig. I've come to ask you to stop digging. You dig under the city, right? Can you take me someplace? What can you tell me about this place? What do you think of Palai? Can you tell me about the Sticha? That's all for now. Let's do this. See what he says. It scrabbles briefly at the wall, and a bit of lightning flares about the crown of antenna on its head. Its shoulders shrug, and you smell dust. Tell me more about the Sticha. It chitters and grumbles, remain incomprehensible to you. It nods its head at you, and when you fail to respond, it trills, "Talk other question." Okay, so he doesn't like that question anymore. I think we didn't understand what he was trying to say. 4, what do you think of Palai? The Stichus seems discombobulated for a moment. Who? Then it thinks a little more. Then it sprays out a blast of pheromones, and you smell the sharp tang of acid and weakened stone. It smells like distrust. Okay. So, 3, what can you tell me about this place? It looks at you intently, and then its spatulate fingers begin a slow, careful dance. The sound it makes are slow chitters that rise and fall in pitch, accompanied by the smell of ozone. Good rock, full of electricity. So, they're interested in the rock, and apparently the energy that is emanating from it. You almost have the sense of the language, the structure, the feel, the sound, and scent. The itch in your mind intensifies. You can feel a memory of the Stichus language waiting to reveal itself. So, yeah, we had a hint at this before. It sounds like we've encountered them before, and this might be useful in working with them and understanding them to hopefully get this done and stop people from dying because the city's collapsing because they're digging. So we're going to try and remember how to speak the Stichus language. So we have a low chance of probability, and I will need to use quite a bit of my intellect. We'll go ahead. I think it's interesting. This is a pretty big problem, so I'd like to hopefully solve it. Wow, lucky us. So we were successful. Your mind blurs, a memory racing up from the forgotten depths. You see yourself interacting with a Stichus, the two of you patiently exchanging hand signals, a small box between the two of you translating your words and thoughts. Each time it conveys a thought or concept, the device sends a stimulus into the appropriate parts of your brain and electricity into your limbs, making you a marionette. That's kind of creepy. Your muscles twitch in sympathy with these memories, and you realize that the Stichus tongue is a jumble of scent, movement, and sounds. With the memory, information pours into your mind as if a plug had been removed. The smell of granite fills your nose. As you return to normal consciousness, Chikekt leans forward. Chikekt smell granite. Knowledge. It rumbles. Its spiracles vent a minuscule trace of gas. The Stitches looks at you, and its body posture and slight movements indicate a question. Does human speak Stitches? Your muscles remember, and you twitch the proper response. Chikekt huffs the scent of lightning. Never speak, Chikekt. Never speak. Chikekt to humans so. Heard memory from elder, not believe. Human almost sentient? Imagine. Grub think like Stitches. Thinks we're a grub. It claps its hands together. Speak smart. Better now. Okay, so being able to communicate is obviously a positive here. Not surprising. Can we talk about Pelaya again? Fishhead person. Different grub. Shine strangely in Stitch's eyes. Smell bad in mind. Much like other humans. Its hand tears a chunk from the wall. Let's see. I think you can trust her. I don't actually think that we can, because she wants to sell the eggs. So she asked me to retrieve your eggs. I can just tell him. Let's ask more questions, and maybe we can come back to that. Ask. You dig under the city. Can you take me someplace? Can you tell me about this place again? See what he says now. Good tunnel rock. Many hidden paths. Place to store eggs. Strong electricity when we dig. Good for eating. Okay, so this seems related to, as I suspected, their eggs, and they want a safe place for them that has energy, which appears to be like a kind of food for them. Can you tell me more about the Stitcha? It considers the question briefly and then emits a puff of pheromones that smells of soft rock crumbling under determined hands. It reminds you of resigned acceptance. Speak. Chikekt will answer. Okay. How did you come to be here? It shrugs, its massive exoskeletal plates grinding. No ancient ever to tell. 4 generations only in caves. We live instinct. Our guess at legacy. Memories stolen. It growls in frustration. It pats the wall nearby. Stitches hatch from eggs. Yes? Yes. Traders come from Evil Bloom. Other worlds. Think humans stole eggs. Humans brought eggs to world. Humans hatch eggs. Larval Stitches. A mystery to buyer. Released here. Chikekt exhales from its spiracles. Must guess at function. Must guess at society. Maybe advanced ones. Maybe great civilization. Now only dig. Dig for clues. Okay, so kind of they don't have a memory of how they got here or kind of what their purpose was. So that's too bad. But they're trying to find out. Why are you digging underpopulated areas? The Stitches stares blankly at you, its eyes shimmering. It seems to be trying to put its thoughts into a statement you can understand. Stitcha must survive, must live where food is, yes? It doesn't wait for an affirmation. Humans watch every step, avoid stepping on insects, no impact on other life. Sacrifice of others is natural order. Okay, well that's an unfortunate way to think about it. It taps you in the chest. Smart for human. It points towards the rest of the underbelly. Not smart. Why concern? Not. It gropes for the word. Not sentient. Okay. 3. You claim that the people in the city aren't sentient. That's not true. The Stitches shifts its weight back and forth. Simple humans. Fight, eat, kill. Try steal eggs. Not harmony. Sentient? It trills out a scoff. Your digging is causing problems for the people above. Yeah. Let's say that. Not concerned to Stitcha. Okay. Let's ask other questions. Its talon to hand flexes and closes. Ask then. So, let's say I have come to ask you to stop digging underneath the city. Why? Where we go? Give reason to stop. You can move deeper beneath the city. The humans are suffering. Do you want your people to have a future? Do you want a war with the humans above? They will collapse your tunnels. They will destroy you. It's probably true. I mean, it sounds like it. I mean, if people are dying, that would be pretty obvious. So, I think that's a good idea. Let's tell them what's a likely consequence here. Oh boy, and I'm alone in this one. I don't have... Well, let's give it what we got. Nope. Was not successful. That's unfortunate. It considers your words for a short time, then looms tall. No, this home can stop humans if need. Maybe humans move instead. They build on food. They surprised it eaten, we stay. Okay, so there you go. So I've come to ask you to stop digging into underneath the city. Say before, no, where we go. You can move deeper beneath the city. Have been. Rock not good. Soft, not efficient. Electric, not strong. It leans back. What else? The humans above are suffering. When humans dig, they care for us? No. Why do we care for them? Okay. Well, let's ask other questions. See if there's anything that we haven't done yet. You dig under the city, right? Can you take me someplace? Maybe take, the Stitches mutters, though its scent indicates reluctance and caution. Must pay 10 shins. So money means something to them, interestingly enough. I didn't think that it would, but it does. Can you take me to the place where your eggs hatch? Huh. The scent that wafts from the Stitches is disgusting, like organic matter that has been baked, digested, and defecated a second time. Its hands clench hard, and it grates. No. Are you sure you can't take me there? What do the Stitches use shins for? That's what I was wondering. Humans sell Numenera. Call self Mekhala. Trade shins and other Numenera to Stitcha. Stitcha trade shins for Numenera good for dig. Melt into walls and tunnels. Make stronger. That's why shins. So they use them to buy stuff that they need to dig. Are you sure you can't take me to where your eggs hatch? The air grows redolent with foulness. Chekekt does not move. Okay. I think that's it. Let's go talk to Palai. I hope you have news for me. No, not quite. Can you tell me anything more about the Stitcha? She shivers and draws into herself. Vicious scuttlers. If only someone made a large enough boot. I do not believe any of us will be safe until they have been relocated. Okay. Ask me your questions. Perhaps we shall find a way to deal with these monsters. Alright, well. I mean, I can communicate with them. I don't need any other ways of communicating. I wonder what happens if I try to talk to these guys now. So these are juveniles. Human, why you come here? So just money here on the ground. This tunnel is blocked by debris, but it's loose enough that a burrowing creature could easily push its way through. Yeah, so that's same as what this here said. So I'm not sure what the best course of action here is. Just more money. I think that this is the temple, isn't it? Yeah, the Dendra or her chapel. Collapsed tunnel. So this might have... This might be related to what they're doing down here. And so it might be that if we do need to go and find the eggs, then this is the way that we will do it, because it doesn't seem likely that I would want to, you know, it doesn't sound like they want to fight, like polite, like she's been sent to negotiate. And part of that reason is probably because they are, you know, she expresses skepticism that they're sentient, but it's pretty clear that they are, because they do speak. And I mean, they speak to me because I speak their language, but they'll speak to Palai. It's a very undeveloped. It's like they're talking past each other. And I was hoping to bridge that a little bit, but wasn't very successful.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and click on this. Find a jumbled pile of large rocks at the end of this roughly hewn tunnel. The motionless limbs of a Stitches protrude from the mound, the rents in its carapace painted with dried ichor. So we're going to step away from now. I think this is the way that we're going to go, and I think we'll call the stream there. And we will continue to investigate this problem. It seems like a pretty big problem, and, you know, the city collapsing, apparently, with these Stitches tunneling under the city. So I'm surprised that they are not taking a harder line here. The city isn't, and they've sent someone to negotiate. But I think that this might be like a way in. I wonder what else we could potentially do with Chekekt. I don't want to fight with them. They don't seem evil, although he is fairly callous towards the humans and the city above. But, you know, he's right. They don't seem to care about him, although they aren't immediately killing them. So, yeah, maybe that's easier said than done. Maybe they're not so easy to kill. So, interesting questions, and I think this will be our way in, so we will save there, and then we will...
Left my lucky pants at a party down here a year back. Never did find them.
Interesting type here. Left a pair of pants down here. We will leave it there, and we will investigate further the next time that that we play. So, thank you very much. Good night, and until next time.